Cool. Awesome. We are officially live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Chiropractic Compass podcast brought to you by the legendary Chiropractor online community. I am so thrilled to be sitting down with our guest tonight. This is his third season. This is our third season. His third season on the podcast, our third season doing the podcast. And we've had a long journey to get to where we are today, and I cannot wait to dive deep with Dr. Chris Zaino tonight. I'm so excited to have you on the show, Doc. And Doc, if people don't know you already, I'm going to give a brief history, a brief background of who you are. Dr. Zaino is a practicing chiropractor in Houston, Texas, runs a massive high-volume practice in Houston, and has been crushing the game for quite some time now in the chiropractic game. And you know, if I don't say so myself, I don't know if someone else probably will. But he might be the largest, most muscular person in chiropractic. So with that being said, Doc, go ahead and take the floor and just kind of introduce yourself while I share this. So give me enough time to at least spread it to a couple of groups. How's that sound?
Awesome. What's up, everybody? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're right. Like, I've been doing this since 2005, 15 years, and I definitely had some really, really good glory days in chiropractic, and hopefully a lot of the information I could give you from what I learned through that, mistakes I made, wins that I had, experience could save you a lot of time and save you a lot of money and frustration. And we're going to dispel a couple myths today as well. Particularly, I could start into it.
Yeah, you can go for it while I'm sharing.
Yeah. Just keep on sharing. When it came to, this is not a high volume call. It's not about that. It's just, I think the best way to do it is every single person deserves to be the best in the world at something. And I just think that all of us need to be able to sit down or be able to wake up and say, today, what drives me is I'm going to try to be the best of the world at something. And then when you state that as your claim, when that's your declaration, then you think, well, what do I have to do to be the best at it? What do I have to do? What do I have to eat? Who are the people I have to hang around? What do I have to read? What do I have to listen to? What I don't have to listen to? Like, do you understand? Like, when you see life through, what do I have to do to be best at that? And you might be thinking, well, wow, that's a long time. It might take 10, 15, 20 years. And there's a lot of discipline involved. There's a lot of sacrifice involved. And you might be like, well, that doesn't sound like so much fun. Well, let me tell you, being the best in the world is a lot of fun. And being mediocre and wondering if you didn't reach your potential, that's regret. It's agony. And just give you an analogy. This last weekend, I took my son. He's really into tennis. He's 12 years old. And I took him to the U.S. Open finals in tennis in New York City. So he went to New York, Flushings, and Queens, actually. And we went to the U.S. Open. We're in this massive stadium. People spent 15, 20 grand for some tickets. I was in the middle deck. We still spent a couple $1,000s for some tickets. But I wanted to put him in the atmosphere of looking at two people in the finals. And I sat there, and even though we might have been on the second tier, all the celebrities and stuff were below. And I told him, like, his name's Justice. I'm like, hey, Justice. I'm like, we're about 300 feet away from that tennis court, from the real deal, from the U.S. Open championships. I'm like, so the distance from us to that tennis court isn't far, but it took these guys 10, 20 years of working their absolute ass off. And sacrificing and not going out and drinking and not partying and not their guys, not getting to girls or girls not dealing with guy drama, and just being so dedicated to their craft, putting in extra hours and really being the best. And to see that display, and what you realize, I'm in the stadium and the stadium and the whole tournament, it wasn't for the players, it was for the fans. The players could care less if there was 1,000 people or no people there, because they were doing it for the love of the game, because they wanted to be the best in the world. And then these guys fought at it, and 5 hours later, it was a ridiculous match. 5 hours later, there was a victor. And man, It was all worth it, wasn't it? So when you wake up, and that was just something that I realized that when I woke up, I wanted to be one of the best chiropractors in the world. Just like Rafael Nadal wants to be the #1 tennis player in the world. And so you have to think to yourself, like, then, I'll go in and out with my son's story. I'm like, Justice, so you're 12. And I go to him, like, you have the opportunity to be the best in the world. You can. You're 12 years old. Like, there's nothing stopping you. I go, but the only thing you could do right now is control the environment. And we'll full circle this. So what's the environment? How are you going to eat to be the best in the world? How much do you have to practice to be the best in the world? What coach do you need to get to be the best in the world? What are you going to watch on TV or not watch TV to be the best in the world? What choices and people are going to interact to be the best in the world? Right. So if you start thinking that way now, and he starts doing that stuff now for 10, 15 years, he very well could find himself 300 feet away, but earning his way to the court, not his dad buying tickets to watch him. And so he could be a player that people pay money to see versus being a fan, sitting in the stands, really not doing what it took to be the player. And so in chiropractic, you got to ask yourself, if you want, and when I mean be the best in the world, this is not saying I'm the best and everybody else sucks. No, we're not using that. We're asking ourselves, I have the right to be the best in the world for me, for what I have to do. So what do I have to do to be the best at that or get the best out of me? And so in chiropractic, that's the way it was for me. I had some mentors, and some mentors saw a lot of high volume, and that was sexy to me. That was very rock star to me, right? I wanted to be a rock star, and I wanted to be a hero with my peers. And, I hit some high volume, and I said, now I want to see more than anybody else ever seen before. I wanted to be the best in the world. And I did the things I had to do. So when it comes to, now yes, well, during that time, Chris, did you have work-life balance? There was no such thing. It wasn't even a thought. Like the U.S. Open, if you ask Rafael Nadal, do you have work-life balance? Like he probably wouldn't even understand you. Because in order to be the best in the world or to be the best at something, it's not about work-life balance. It's about what do I have to do to be the best at something. And it means taking your family with you. It means taking your relationships with you. It means getting rid of relationships that don't align with you fulfilling your purpose. And so it's you can't focus on work-life balance because on one end you want to be very successful, you want to collect a lot of money, and you want to see a lot of patients. But at the other end, you want this work-life balance. But the thing is, they don't work. They don't work that way. If you want to really hit that collection number, see those many people, have a great business, it's going to take sacrificing of other areas, and it's well worth it. Like I said, being the top of your game is a lot of fun. Getting there is a little rough, but even if you don't get there, guess what? You live in a very noble life. You're living a life of someone who's really giving it the best they can. And John, and then I'll pass it over to you. When I was climbing, and here's the thing. Well, I don't even see half of what I used to see anymore. Why? Very simple. I don't want to. I don't want to.
Right.
I mean, that's really the best. Like I am mature enough to admit and self-aware that I don't want to. And because I could have anything and you could have anything you want. Whether it be I won Mr. America, I went back and won Mr. Universe. I built a huge practice, then I got bored with it and I said I want to win Mr. Universe, and I won that. So it's like I know I can do whatever I want. So can you. So Bob Proctor said it best. He's like, you are the only problem you will ever have in your life. I love that. Like, I am the only problem I'll ever have in my life, but therefore I'm the only solution. And so whatever you're getting at, if you say, listen, if you really want to, and I want you guys to be real with yourself, self-awareness. It's really cool to go to a chiro convention and get spizzed up and say the right stuff. And let's say you want to see volume or you want to do whatever, but really deep down inside you don't want to. Go on what you want to do, not what you think you got to do, because then you're living out someone else's values. I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to hit high volume. When I wanted to do it, I did it. I stopped wanting it because I got bored. That just wasn't a goal for me anymore. And I want to do something else, the cloud move. So, but during the growth of it, there was only 3 things I was doing, 3 main things. I was either preparing, I was either producing, or I was recovering. That's all I did, just like an elite athlete. Anything else was not going to allow me to grow. What I mean by that is preparing. I was studying my talks, watching videos of my talks, reading green books. I was preparing. I was preparing for the game, which was showing up to the office. At the office, now I'm producing. I'm performing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing what I got to do because I prepared. I took way longer to prepare than I actually worked. So as much as I worked, I prepared a lot longer. And then after my work, after the win, after the talk, after whatever, after adjusting, then I was recovering. And what's recovering? Recovering was maybe I worked out. Maybe it was me having personal time, personal developing, taking a nap. Like, I was recovering.
Mm-hmm.
And then I recovered so I could start. And then my recovery immediately blended back into preparing again. So that whole stage of prepare, perform, or prepare, produce, recover, prepare, produce, recover, that was my life.
Mm-hmm.
There was no life, there was no work-life balance there. That was my life. But I wouldn't have achieved the things that I did or I wanted to if I just let off the gas even a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But when you want to do something, John, it's easy to do that. So, my son Justice is obsessed. Well, I use that word, but he's focused on
Right.
tennis. So he'll play 6 hours a day, and that would be a lot of work to me. To like 6 hours a day, but it's not. It's not to him.
Right.
Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, all the greatest people that we look up to. Yet but we're talking work-life balance. But the athletes, the Tiger Woods, everybody who we might look up to and be inspired by, there was no work-life balance in their life. It was they had a dream, they wanted to be the best in the world at something, and they created their entire environment was to be that would allow them to be the best in the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I love having you on the podcast because we immediately get into content and value for all of the viewers and listeners. Thank you guys so much for being on. Thanks for watching. Be sure after the episode or right now, head to thelegendarychiropractor.com to check out everything that we have to offer. And if you don't know this and you can't see his name on the bottom of the screen, we're here live with Dr. Chris Zaino. He's tuning in from Houston, Texas, and he is dropping golden nuggets for everybody to utilize and apply to their everyday life. And I love recapping what guests say on the show, but putting it more of like a chiropractic student spin on it. Because my life is a lot different than your life right now, right? Like, it's like I am in a completely different phase of my life, mentally, physically, emotionally, and the time that I'm investing, the money and that I don't have to invest, like all of that stuff is different. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's really cool to bring people on who have been out in the game, doing chiropractic any way, shape, or form that they see fit that serves their community or serves them and their families, right, and their patients in a specific way. And it's so great to have you on. But to recap, I wrote down a couple things, and your actions. I wrote down this phrase: your actions reflect your results, and then I added to that. I added your actions and your environment directly reflect your results. And I love that you went back and added environment to that because it's so true, right? Like we are nurtured constantly. And no matter what environment we put ourselves in, for me, it's school, it's class. If I do any extracurriculars, it's that environment. It's what I eat. It's when I work out and everything like that, like you were saying, that direct those things and my mentality to actually implement and take action upon my thoughts and ideas are a direct reflection of my results. And I think you would agree with me on that. Would you, Doc?
Absolutely. Like I said, everything's your fault. Like any problem in my life, I am that problem
Mm-hmm.
because I chose to or did not do the necessary steps. Right. Absolutely. So and the environment though is something you can control.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
can't control. Well, someone would be like, well, I'm a student. And what do you mean? I can't control my environment. Well, yeah, you can, even in this current circumstances. Like, you can control, you have control over your environment.
Right. Right. 100%. And so I also wanted to mention, when you're obsessed with something, and this will tie me into my next quote that I got from you, but when you're obsessed with something, you're striving for perfection, right? And you and I both know that perfection doesn't exist. So therefore, if we're striving for this perfect work-life balance, we're striving again for something that doesn't exist. In my understanding of what we're talking about here, and then to tie that into this, your work is your life, right? Like you were saying, what you're obsessed with, an obsession like Justice, plays tennis for 6 hours a day. To you and I, that would be a lot of work, but to him, it's an obsession. An obsession is not work, right? That is fun for him. It's engaging, and he knows when he leaves the court that he will be a better player than if he didn't go out there at all. So it's like a couple hours or a couple minutes is more than anything. That it counts for more than we actually think it does. And I like what you said: prepare, produce, and recover. It's so fascinating to listen to you talk, because we always talk about, we are our problem and we are our solution. So Doc, talk to us a little bit more about, if the work-life balance doesn't exist, it is a myth, right? What can we do to live the best 360 degree lifestyle that we can while we're here on this planet, while giving our all?
Great question. Great question. So, like I said, you make it your life. And on the first part of the question, I think it's self-awareness. If you find yourself pointing the finger in a good way, going, wow, that seems like a lot of friggin' work. Or that seems like that person's just working way more than I would ever want. Then what you're telling yourself, there's no right or wrong there. What you're telling yourself is, well, that just isn't my thing. Meaning that recipe just isn't. It's not that chiropractic's not your thing. That recipe isn't your thing. You follow what I'm saying? So you don't have to do all this stuff like that David Goggins, right? You ever write it? If you guys, he has that book, You Can't Hurt Me.
Right.
He physically wants to create a painful situation for himself at all times to not stay comfortable. And I'll be like, wow, I like listening to sometimes, but some of that stuff, when I started going, well, that's a little extreme, because it's the recipe that I don't want. So the thing is, like, so when you see people and you feel like they're obsessive or they're this, it's just, well, that recipe just doesn't, it's just not your thing, because to that person, running 35 miles a day isn't work. It's hard work, but they enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Playing 6 hours, 7 hours of tennis a day, plus having school, and it's not work to that person, but it damn sure well would be work to us. So that's what I'm saying. You have to find something you could get obsessed about in chiropractic, or a part of chiropractic, or something in the essence of chiropractic, that the greatest superpower I could ever wish for anybody watching is that you find yourself obsessed with something, and that the act of doing that thing becomes the reward. You understand? Like you just said it, there's nothing wasted. I told my son, there's never a stroke of that tennis racket that goes wasted.
Mm-hmm.
What, like Arnold Schwarzenegger used to say, every rep, he was one rep closer to his goal, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like every swing of the bat, every hour of work put in on yourself or the principle, you're just one step closer to your dream. But what is that dream? Define that. What can you get obsessed over? I stopped something along my career, and this is hopefully what you guys appreciate about me, is because I have no problem telling you that, well, something along my career, I lost my obsession. What lost it? I don't know. I could probably tell you, I could sit here and I could probably blame 50 things. But no, I lost it, whatever it was. But see, when you're obsessed, it doesn't matter if there's 50 problems going on. You love it so much, you take it all.
Yep.
Right? So I lost my obsession. I think the cloud moved for me. That's just what I'm going with. I changed. I evolved, to something different. And but if you could find that thing you could latch onto, get excited, get obsessed, it's huge. And then the whole work-life balance thing, how do you keep this 360 life? Well, to you, it is a 360 life,
Right.
because when you're obsessed and you're doing what you love, and you're eating well, because eating well makes your A game stronger, and you're taking care of your body, because when you take care of your body, your A game stronger, and when your A game stronger, you're getting better results, and that makes you even more pumped and obsessed. And then when you're in that zone, you're going to attract, you're going to be with your peers that are thinking like you too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I had friends that had the same goals that I did, and had the same friendly competition. In fact, I attracted friendly competition, and competitiveness brings the best out of you. And so I liked having friendly competition with people, because, anytime I wanted to step back, I knew I had to step forward. And like those people you hang around with, even if it's 3 people, all you guys do is talk about the same thing, because you all love the same thing. So
Right.
for you as the person, you are living a 360 life. So what's the ulterior?
Yeah.
What's the what's the other thing? Well, I'm sitting at home doing nothing when I would like to be doing my work, or I'm eating shit food that tastes good for a couple minutes, but then I'm sluggish, I'm tired. Like, what's the alternate?
Right.
And what I saw Sunday was the alternate was, I'm sitting in the stands paying thousands for tickets, and versus being the player that everybody comes to see.
Yep.
Let me tell you, when you think big, 10, 15, 20 years out, it's like, let that drive you, but find something you can get obsessed over, a recipe. Because if I say, well, you got to get obsessed with chiropractic, that's tough, man. There's a lot of it. There's
Right.
a lot. It's very general. It's like, what about it? How do you want to take care of people? What type of people do you want to see? How's your office want to be? Get the image. That's something you can latch onto and get obsessed, because if you're not obsessed, it's a job.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be long, and you're going to want to go home, and you're going to want to watch the game, and man, you're going to want to drink a little bit maybe, because it's like, it's what do you call it, escape.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to want to go on social media because it's escape. Why would you escape something that you love?
Right.
So you don't. You see, so when you add all that stuff together, you're looking for work-life balance because you're not happy where you're at, guys. And so you might be in school and you're like, I'm not happy where I'm at, but the thing is, you need to be asking yourself, I want to be the best at the world at this. So what do I have to do today? If I was the best in the world, how would I act?
Mm-hmm.
How would I practice? How would I read? How would I eat? So, like I try to tell my son, Rafael Nadal, he's 33 years old, top player in the world. How do you think, what's his daily routine? What's he do to stay that way?
Mm-hmm.
And then you know what? Start doing that at 12 years old. And if you look at it and you're like, I'm not willing to do that, then that's not the recipe to be the best for him.
Right.
But he has to find his own recipe. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you could be the best. That's the whole thing, is being the best for you is finding your recipe, something that you could prepare, produce, perform, and recover, and get obsessed over it. But knowing that when you're doing it, you're bringing those people with you. So if you're in a relationship and someone doesn't like that you're working so much, then I'm telling you, it's not going to last, guys. It's not, because if that person keeps you home and you want to be doing something productive and your purpose, you're going to resent that person. So you don't want to be like the best in the world don't have codependent relationships. How about that? Codependence means that person needs you to be happy, or you need that person to be happy. When you want to be the best in the world, there's no codependence, because it all relies on you. And so it's all these things put together. So work-life balance, if I could tell you anything about, John, it's not only is it a myth, but it's a symptom that you're not damn happy, and you have not found the thing that you can be obsessed with yet. Like I said, the greatest gift, I would be proud of every single person watching this, if once in your life, or God willing, 2-3 times in your life, you can actually get obsessed over something. I don't even care if it was chiro related. If you like, it doesn't matter. There's something about what happens to the human spirit when they can get obsessed into something and so laser focused. You'll always be successful with that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you find that? You know what? If you lost it, how do you find it? You gotta go through the buffet of life. The buffet of life is, you try enough stuff. You go to a buffet, you try some stuff, There's stuff you don't like. There's stuff that you really enjoy. And through life, it'll take you to something. But once you sense obsession, you go all in. BJ Palmer was obsessed, guys.
Yep.
A guy went to him and says, "Would you invest in my company?" And BJ's like, "Why would I invest in your company?" The guy goes, "Because you got a lot of money." He's like, BJ goes, "So where did I get my money from?" He's like, the guy's like, "Well, you got it from that school." And BJ's like, "Correct. So therefore, I will put all of my eggs in one basket, and I will put everything I got back into that school." So BJ knew this whole like diversify your life, work-life balance. No, it was all eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to talk about two things you mentioned. Number one is self-awareness. Self-awareness is so critical to us and reflection of really like who are we and why are we here? Like what are we? What is our purpose here? And what do we want to do? And I like how you keep saying, if I have one gift to give, that would be to give the gift of obsession in at least one to however many things you can be obsessed with in a lifetime. And I really enjoy listening to you talk about this stuff because it resonates with me. It's really impactful and powerful, especially to those listening right now. Like self-awareness, it's so incredible when you realize like, I like that looks like a lot of work. I want nothing to do with it, but I'm going with this one and I'm running with it, right? Like when you're that clear on something in your life, abundance will come flooding in. And I really do believe that. And that brings me into my second thing is clarity. I think a lot of people struggle with clarity, Doc. Like there's so much fog and so much noise all the time. Like it's so hard. I can hear people saying it like, follow your dreams. Well, I don't have a dream. Follow your passions. I don't have a passion. And we're saying obsession. Find your obsession. Well, I don't have an obsession. How can people become more clear and become more self-aware for their future here?
Well, that's the thing because self-awareness is the key.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably started becoming self-aware of who I was in my mid-30s. I'm 43. I'll be 43. So at 33, 34, 35, I started realizing I like that. I realized that my entire life I was a combination of other people's subordinated values.
Huh.
Meaning, all these people in my life, my family, everything, dogmas, teachers, preachers, dogma society, I was living out everybody else's vision on what they thought I should do,
yes,
or what I think society thought would be good for me.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying and I loved how you said it, it's not saying what is right for us, what is right for we. It's self-awareness is saying what is my true authentic version of me.
Yeah.
It's what is right for me. It is what I was created to do. But it's very tough, guys. And you say I don't know. Like I don't know my passion. I don't know my obsession. You know why? Because you're flooded with. You never had. You know why? It's very similar to the Matrix. When Neo opened his eyes and he goes, "Why do my eyes hurt?" And he's like, "Because it's the first time you used them." And for many of us, and for me, it was in my 30s, 35 years old. BJ calls it finding yourself. BJ found himself at 20 because he worked with a hypnotist, and he was able to meditate and find himself. But it's like, it's okay that you're 25, 35, 50, and when you kind of find yourself or start like building a relationship with you, that you're going to realize like you're clean slate. You lived out everybody else's values for your life, and you don't even know who the hell you are. So therefore, you don't know what you love. But I'll tell you, when you did know what you wanted, when you were a kid, when you were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, you absolutely were obsessed. You loved things. You knew what you wanted. You were very clear. And around 6 years of age, you got disconnected. That's when the institutions of school and this and that started to make you a zombie, a factory worker. I mean, that's what chiropractic is. We're trying to reconnect man the physical and man the spiritual, right? We're trying to reconnect people back to that innate given intuition that we had as children. But through going through all that stuff, school, media, you name it, getting hurt, getting embarrassed, anchoring to wrong things, we put up such a wall that even if I said, what do you want? What were you here on this planet to do? You can't even see it because it's so cluttered. And so how do you get through it? It's a very long, it's a very long road and journey, but it comes with getting extremely, and the word is ridiculously, extremely honest with you. And being honest with yourself, because so many of you guys are bullshitting yourself. It's ridiculous. Not only are you bullshitting me and John, but you don't even realize you're doing it to yourself. So when you can sit back, and like I said, remember the beginning, I said, you know what, guys? I see half of what I did, you know why? Because I just didn't want to anymore. That's it. Like I was honest with myself. You know, I don't want to. I don't want the pressure. I don't want my back and my joints hurting the way it did. And you know what? When I reached high volume, it wasn't really rock star. Nothing happened. There was no parties. I made a lot of money. I spent a lot of money. I made some bad decisions. It's like, it was fun. It was cool. But now I want to do something else. And that's why. That's why you do it. And that's the only reason when someone says, why do you want to do this? Why are you obsessed with it? The only reason you should get to in your life is say, because I want to. You know?
Yep.
Why do some of you watching this, you're going to get this degree in chiropractic and you're not even going to practice? Why? Listen, it's okay because you wanted to. I mean, you thought you wanted to do it. It's okay to change your mind.
Right.
You know, how come some of you guys are going to have amazing practice? You'll be in practice for 70 years because you wanted to. You loved it. You know, so that's the thing. It's like, it's becoming absolutely honest with yourself. But a lot of times it's tough because we've been saying the Success 101 answer for so long. I've been telling John, like, my goal is to save the world for 20 years. And you said, but because you're not lying, but you're just saying what you think you should say.
Right.
And you're not really being honest with you and being honest with everybody else. But if you're not honest with you or even realize it, how do you know? So of course you're sitting there going, I don't know, or I don't know my obsession. Of course, and guess what? That's okay.
Yeah.
This is not January 1st, right? January 1st, everybody's like putting their goals. And I did a video. I'm like, if you don't know what you want to do, it's okay. January 1st is just another day. Like, don't feel the pressure of that because, again, you feel like, oh, I have to find my obsession because these two guys are talking about their obsession. No, you'll find it.
Right.
But I can tell you what you can do, you can be aware of. You can be aware of when you're not there. So if you're feeling low, tired, looking for work-life balance, looking for the escape, at least you could tell yourself, well, you know what? I'm sure not here. Right? So, like, you're getting information. Constantly ask yourself, and ask yourself those honest questions.
Yeah. And I think the major takeaway, I have some closing things, and I want you to be able to say some closing things as well. We're coming up on 32 minutes. And I have to say that, like, the consensus or the synopsis of this entire talk, for those of you just joining us or those of you, who have been with us from the beginning, you have to be self-reflective, right? Like, you have to be super clear on who you are and what you want out of this life. And if you aren't that, you can start taking your steps now and tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, in order to start preparing yourself better for the future and start being able to recognize, like we talked about, the self-awareness and recognizing that's for me, that's not for me, that's for me, that's not for me, that's for me, that's not for me, that is for me, like, that is awesome. And you'll find it and let it come to you. Open yourself up to the universe, and the universe will provide. I firmly believe that. And the second thing is I want to say, like, when you talked about getting to the top or, seeing high volume patients and tons of patients making money, it was because you wanted to. And you were like, you know what? I experienced it. It wasn't as great as what I thought it was, or it was as great as what I thought it was. Either way, you make a decision to stay there and keep going down that path, or you make a decision, like you kept saying, the clouds moved, and that was you were opened up to new opportunities. And that is so true. So, like, why did you do it? To experience it. That's why I did it. I wanted to know what it was like. I would have never known through someone else, just through, say, if you're wanting high volume, just through Dr. Zaino sitting here and telling you that he was high volume isn't enough for you. That is obsession. You want to be like, okay, what were his numbers? How much did he make? How do I get there, right? Now, what are the steps? And then you'll get there and you'll contact both of us hopefully in the future and we'll say, how's it going? How was it at the top? And you'll say it was great, it was average, or I'm choosing to go a different route. And that's okay. Either way, whatever you want to do, you just wanted to experience it. And then what you said about kids, we lose, around 6, we lose a couple, our imagination and, our clarity, right? That clarity of and we always think kids are rude, right? They swat food out of your hand or they cry. It's that's the clearest you'll ever be able to be in your life. That is the most pronounced clarity you will ever see or experience in your life is when someone shoves green beans in your face and you're like, bah, no, I'm not having that today. That is clear. That is I don't want that. I'm not going to have it. And I'm going to cry and sit here until I get what I actually want. And a part of that actually applies to real life. And I like what you said about chiropractic connecting again, man the physical with man the spiritual. And it's so true. So Doc, I do have a quick question from an audience member, and that's Dr. Jordan Fairley, and he says, he says, prepare, produce, recover, love it. I have a very hard time on the recover, and I tend to go back just to the first 2. So how do people, make sure they're incorporating that recover in order to best prepare and produce for whatever they're doing in life?
Well, it's a great question. It's an active recovery. So the recover isn't sleeping, even though sleeping just should be, that's what you do to be the best. You got to get your sleep. Recovering could be, for me, waking up early, doing that treadmill, listening to a podcast, that coming home, doing a 24-minute meditation, having my quiet time in the morning to read. You see that, that's recovery to me. That recharges me. Mm-hmm. Or after work, in between the shifts, I'll go and I'll work out. That's recovery to me. So you think, well, working out's not recovery. Well, it is in the sense that we're talking, because, it re-stimulates me. It wakes me up again. So it's almost a form of recovery. So it's doing something you love. For some of you, recovery is mowing the lawn because you love it. For some of you, it's hiring someone to mow the lawn because you hate it. So that's what you got. So it's doing something that you really enjoy doing. It could be from cleaning the dishes to, painting. It's recovery is that. It's something where you're still able to get creativeness and thought going. It's not an actual lying on your butt, doing nothing, being bored.
I like that.
Let me mention something about obsession, Jim.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times the reason why it's tough for someone to get clear on it, because whatever they truly think and they want to tell someone, they're gonna feel it's unrealistic.
Mm.
And just think about that. I'm what do you, you say, you need, you mentioned, we need to be able to wake up and say, this is what I want from this life. And that was a perfect exercise, because that's it, right? Everybody get a clean sheet of paper and write down everything you want in this life, and don't worry about how you're going to get it, just why. Mm-hmm. I want $100 million. I want $100 million. Well, why? Mm-hmm. So I could contribute more, so I could collaborate more, so I could have better experiences, and I could have more fun, and I could have more. I could produce more. I could be more. I have more potential. I could have. I could be a better philanthropist. I could contribute more. Right. So it's not the money; it's the why behind it, right? So write out the things, exactly what you want, and the why. Don't worry about the how, because the how you think in the past too much. So, but when you write that stuff down, it's you get it. Then you get a little nervous or embarrassed because you're oh, I can't show this to anybody. Because A, it's your dream, B, it's your vision, and C, someone's going to say that's freaking ridiculous. Right. What do you mean you want to be the president, and and all this other you could put some great desires down there that isn't for everybody because it's not their same vision, and now you're afraid that it's just unrealistic. Mm-hmm. And now when you think it's unrealistic, you're never going to back it up. I was thinking going back to the tennis match. You had 2 guys that at one point when they were little kids, one was in Russia and one little dude in Spain. At a young age, they said they wanted to be the best in the world at something. And sure as hell, I'm sure most people are oh, that's nice, honey. It's just I'm sure they were written off.
Right.
But they still kept true to their vision. You follow what I'm saying? So even though you may feel it's unrealistic, you may feel that I may or someone else may feel that it's unrealistic. But if it's real to you and it's something that you want out of life, you know, do it and keep it to yourself if you have to.
Mm-hmm.
But there will people, everybody's obsession, someone would, you don't want to tell someone because they're going to always try to speak reality into your life. It's called a naysayer. A naysayer is someone who cares about you so much, they don't want to see you do something irrational.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like me, I go from a multi-million-dollar doctor position, chiropractor, to wanting to be Mr. Universe and dieting and being distracted and really putting my efforts into something that was really never profitable. Why? Because I wanted to, right? It's like because I had an irrational, irresponsible to someone else's view goal, but I wanted to do the goal, right? So I did, right? So it's like we were saying before. So when you write down that dream and that goal, maybe you guys got to keep it to yourself and protect it, because the longer you can protect that, let it take root in your heart. And then you look at it every day. And just if you want to know a secret, I carry a card. I carry an index card. And I had my son write one this weekend. And I carry that card, and it's my declaration of what I want to be the best at and what. And I wrote it in present tense as when I have it. And I write it out. So I am thankful and I am grateful that right now and do your declaration. Mm-hmm. I have this. I have that. I am this. I am this. I'm doing this. And I won't tell you what it is, but I will tell you the end of it. And the end of it is I have so much abundance that I am the underwriter of people's dreams and first and foremost, my own dreams and desires. So basically, the end result of my declaration is I have so much abundance that I could make everybody else's dreams come true. But first, I put my dreams to come true first, right? So like that's the type declaration you want to have. And full circle, to be legendary and iconic in a life has no work-life balance in it, because you would never want to balance. Imagine if you loved something, you would never want 50% of it to balance it out. No, you would want it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and I last but not least, Doc, add the why behind your goals. And I really want to emphasize that to people watching, because your goals can seem empty or not attainable, and people I like what you said, people can speak reality into you. And I think that I know that adding the why behind your goals puts it at a value, right? It gives it a value that says, I'm going to hold this to a higher pedestal, or I'm going to achieve, when I achieve this, it's going to be worth this much to myself, to this many people, to my community. Whatever you're doing, it's going to be worth that much more, because it's not just hey, I wrote that down one day and I now did it. It's like I did that, and on the way and beyond, I did all of this because of that one thing that I wrote down, or those several things that you wrote down. So I wanted to really emphasize that putting value and your why behind your goals can really set you apart from you and the naysayers, as Dr. Zaino said. So closing remarks, Doc. I want you to have the floor. How can people better reach out to you or get in touch with you, or what you're doing and what you're producing these days, and any just closing remarks for chiropractic students out there and docs?
Yeah, if you guys ever need my help, you'd always contact me on social media. You could find me, Instagram or Facebook. I always got good stuff for you guys there. Or if you want to email me at drzaino@drzaino.com, go ahead and do that. I got Chiro Thought Leaders. I got 21 programs in that. And that was, I documented everything I did in my office to easily do what we were able to do when I was cranking. And it's reproducible. And that's what you want. So if you're ever interested in that, if you want to give that a shot and take it as far as you want in the time you want to take it, then just let me know. It's a membership, meaning, you pay, I think now it's $297, but you pay that per month. And then when you don't want to pay it anymore, you stop paying it. Get what you want. Like I don't lock you into anything, because I know, again, because being someone who's been on the other side, when you want to be the best at something, it doesn't, it's not a 1 month, 2 month, 3 month journey. It's freaking it's until you reach it. It could be 10 years, 15 years. So, but also again, I don't get mad at people who think they could learn it all in 1 month and then drop out. If you want to do that, go ahead. Doesn't matter to me. And so, yeah, just run that. So chiropractic speaking, that'd be the best ways to get in touch with me and go with that. As far as other social stuff, you guys will not, when I'm about to make a transition or go big, what I do is I contract a little bit, and I get quiet and I make stuff happen, and then I come back when I made some stuff happen. So I'm going to, you'll see me on very rare occasions, only to people like John and really the people that I support. But so yeah, you'll probably see a lot less of me, which might be good for some of you, but it's for me because I got to, because right now I'm going into another obsession that I'm working on that I gotta get extremely focused at, and there's certain distractions like social media that need to be set aside for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, Doc. Well, I greatly, greatly appreciate your time. I respect your time. I thank you for being on the show. I thank everybody for watching. I dropped your social media at Dr. Chris Zaino. It should be. So at Dr. Chris Zaino on there, and then also Chiropractic Thought Leaders, and that's all practice building content. Like he said, it's kind of a membership site. So feel free to reach out to him that way or get involved with what he's doing that way. And Doc, again, thanks for being on the show as per usual. Season 4 will be around probably mid-fall. So I will send you the schedule if you want it. You can always hop on there.
Always.
So we always appreciate you having me, and I always appreciate having you. And I know that the followers and the audience and the viewers really, really enjoy your content and everything that you have to say, because you've been through it all, and it's awesome to see your growth and your progression through the chiropractic eyes and lenses of young chiropractic students. So thanks for being on, Doc. I really appreciate you. And everybody watching, please head to thelegendarychiropractor.com to check out all of the chiropractic things that we have offered. And also just to support what we're doing and trying to get more people involved in the Legendary Chiropractor, and all of these students that are on here, trying to get you guys inspired to be the best docs that you can possibly be, no matter like what Dr. Zaino said, no matter if that's going out into practice and serving for 70 years or going, some other direction with chiropractic. Or without, and doing the best you can to serve out of the abundance of your heart. So we thank you for being on. We salute you. And to all of those, quickly for 9/11, thank you so much for all of the volunteers that supported it 18 years ago today, and really, truly put their lives on the line for other people's lives. So we honor you, we salute you, and we thank you for your service, and may all of those that lost their lives rest in peace. Thank you, guys. Love you and appreciate you. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thanks, Doc.
Thanks, buddy.